Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and this is All Intuitive Conversation. Aloha, and welcome to All Intuitive Conversation. I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I am excited to be connecting with Dionne Sanchez. So let's bring her to the stage. Aloha, Dionne.
Aloha, Felicia. Thank you for having me on your show today. This is a real honor, truly.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I'm going to say you're wearing my favorite color, which is red. And I love the red lipstick. Absolutely. So I just wanted to go
Thank
ahead and
you.
let.
I look good.
Yes, absolutely. So where are you calling in, connecting with me from? Where are you at?
I am from St. Petersburg, Florida. So I'm right near Tampa and Orlando and all those fun cities and Disney World and all that good stuff.
Ooh, Mouse City. Okay, near there. So are you from there?
Born and raised, yes.
Oh, so how do you have aspirations to go anywhere else?
When I was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I had some aspirations to go to New York. But that sort of changed a bit, and I think I'm pretty content with staying where I am. I wouldn't mind traveling and visiting other places, but
Yeah, like where?
family, like Italy, that's like on my bucket list to go to Italy because that's like known for romance and culture and architecture, and Italy is definitely probably my number one place I would want to explore.
Oh, loving that. Okay, so I like the fact that you want to travel and explore. Sounds like the wanderlust kind of feeling there. So amazing. So what is it that you do in Florida?
Well, I live here for certain.
Mm-hmm.
And I live with my dad as well, and my family is here. And I'm a college student, which I'm set to finish my degree program, which is I'm majoring in graphic design. So I'm set to finish that hopefully after this summer because I have an internship that I have to start applying for. So I'll be done with
Yes.
school finally.
Yes.
When I'm not busy with school, due to the pandemic, it's all online. I am working part time at an aftercare program at a school called Shorecrest Prep. It's
Mm-hmm.
a private school. It's pretty really popular as far as the schools in this particular area goes, and I just watch and play and basically facilitate with children every single day from 2 to 6.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So what's the connection between you studying design and graphics and
The
you
sure. The
connecting with kids? What's that connection?
the connection with that is well, I do already have an associate's degree in general education, which is, your math, your English, your science, your basic fundamental tools to have a degree in. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted something to be passionate about or a degree that caters to my interests more. And I got to thinking that I'm really good at technology, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also very creative. And the program at my school, which is St. Petersburg College, had a digital arts program. And initially, what I was going in to study for was web design because I was familiar with Wix and incorporating web and arts and all that type of demographic. So I thought because I'm good with technology and I'm creative, this would amplify my interest even more by studying that. So um, they have recently changed it either last year or the year before.
Mm-hmm.
The program and curriculum changes quite a bit as far as what classes are required. Um, and I'm pretty glad it did change from what I was initially studying to graphic design because web design's a lot of coding and mathematics involved, and I'm not really good with numbers or anything involving mathematics of any kind. And graphic design is really projecting an illusion or making something come alive and just tricking the eye and like the eye of the beholder, if you will. And there's something really powerful and impactful when it comes to graphics. And I even practice it in my spare time as well. So I feel like graphics is really where my heart is at. And um,
Mhm.
if I hadn't been majoring in graphics, I probably would have had the skills or the experience to update my podcast cover art, which is also red, which is your favorite color, and
Which is my favorite color, like I said. Yes. Mhm.
add the title in neon, courtesy of other photos I've taken and other stuff. So
Mhm. So, well, where does the kids come in? Like, how do you integrate?
the kids aspect, well, I've always been good with children. The
Mhm.
kid aspect comes with me volunteering at church, because I'm a Christian, and my volunteering was really based in the children's ministry and middle school ministry as well, so that would be youth ministry.
Mhm.
So it's not that different than what I do now. Basically, I would lead small groups. I would like help them, get them to participate in like activities or games that would be planned, and I would convince them to go to youth camps and stuff. And um, I was really passionate about it. I am still passionate about it. I haven't volunteered in church in a while, because life happens, but that's where the kids come in. I'm a big kid at heart. I love children. They really connect with me well because they have that childlike spirit, as
Yeah.
my dad likes to call it. And I would, facilitate small groups and help remind them that their life does have a purpose and they're not alone. And I'll go into this into my story. I did struggle fitting in and getting acceptance, so I like to sort of be that guide, if you will, when it comes to them figuring themselves out and applying spiritual scripture or principles to try to help them get through life a bit easier.
Mm.
So I did that. Children's ministry, I did youth ministry first. That was from ninth grade until 12th grade. So that was my whole high school years. And I was basically at that church since I was 3. So that was my home church for quite some time. Of course, I'm no longer at it. But
Mhm.
and then the children's ministry I got into when I came back home from college. Just to give you some more insight, what my initial career path was going to be, or what I thought I was called to go to, is to be a youth pastor. Um,
Mm.
that's where I thought my initial purpose was leading me to. I love God. I love helping others. It seemed like I love kids. It seemed like a good fit. So I even went to a Bible college in Tampa, Florida. It's called, I want to say, Florida College. I believe that's what it's called. I was there for a year. It didn't work out because, well, it was my first year of college, so the first semester was good, and then the second semester I got too immersed in the social aspect of it. But it wasn't easy. I was in Tampa, so it wasn't that far from home, but I didn't connect with anyone with the same spiritual beliefs as I do. Um,
Mm.
the beliefs I was grown accustomed to was Assembly of God, and their core demographic or congregation was primarily the Church of Christ. And I wasn't, I mean, I have, everyone has their own belief system and there's nothing wrong with that, but I was never
Right.
exposed to that. And what I've come to learn is they weren't understanding of my reason to want to be a youth pastor, because from what they were told and taught, they believe a female's role should be in children's ministry, not in a leadership or youth like position. And that was disheartening for me. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I still made friends and I connected with them and everything. But as far as my faith goes, it was pretty shaken because I usually just on Sundays when I try to go to their churches, I try to check it out. I just didn't feel connected. So
Mm,
that whole year, I really on Sundays when they would go, I would just have my own little Bible study in my room, in my dorm room. And whenever I would come home to visit, I would go to church and be with my friends and my church family and connect with them and everything. So
yeah.
fast forward to when I came home, I volunteered in the children's ministry, and I helped facilitate groups and did worship and sing-alongs. And I was when it came to me, I was really available. Like if they needed me, I would be there. I
Yes.
I was that type of person that would be there every single day if they needed me to.
Yes.
I'm a pretty go-getter person as far as helping others. So as far as the how the children aspect came into play, was I volunteered with them. I was immersed in them, and it was just something I connected really well on. um
Mhm.
so that was uh I want to say 2015 to maybe 2017. I don't really remember the year
Yeah.
because I ended up leaving the church after a certain point. And as did the original children's pastors as well. But
Mhm.
I just went to a
Yep.
different church and continued to attend there ever since. And then um how I got into working at the school is because my sister is a teacher over there.
Got
Um,
it. Uh-huh.
and she's an alumnus and everything. And she's been talking to me like, oh, they're always looking for, kids or tutors or somebody to work the summer. And initially, I thought when she was describing it to me was that they were looking for tutors for the children or something along those lines. I wasn't really thinking or I was thinking tutors and daycare and all that type of stuff. I'm like, I'm not really good at tutoring people. I'm smart, but I'm not really good at tutoring people. So, um, this past summer, which would past summer, we're about to get into the summer soon. She gave me some information about Dominique Cam, who is the head of all aftercare and auxiliary and basically that whole um program department of that school.
Mhm.
And I had an interview, I got to talking, and I basically had the job pretty quickly. But the whole process with fingerprinting and getting a background check, all these things I'm not accustomed to because, to be honest, this would be my first job. Um, I never had a job before, and this would be my first job. So, we after all that process, I was officially hired on July 31st, and I've been working there ever since. The kids love me; they gravitate towards me. I have my own little bits and games, and if it's hot outside, I'll say they'll turn into a tomato or something. So, um, lately, because it's been so cold over here in Florida, I tell them if they don't have a jacket on, they'll turn into an ice cube or something, and
Yes.
so I've
Okay.
always been good with children, and I have a 3-year old. Not I was gonna say 3, 4-year old niece as well, and she's like my little best friend. I love her so much.
Oh. Well, I was um shuffling cards is because like I said, you were talking and it was just like, okay, this is great. I'm just gonna connect with her energy and vibe. And so before like I said, you just never know, but I had pulled out my Psalms deck and you got give your burden to the Lord and he will take care of you. And that is Psalms 55:22. And that was when you were just talking about your struggles, not feeling accepted, just the challenges, with the church and your experiences and not being seen and heard. And so it was like, okay, so encourage you to look more um, with that particular scripture. But then I went and it was like, okay, the Bible, we talk about Psalms and all those,
Yeah,
it's like a whole big prayer. And so one of the things that talked about that is that whole scripture of Psalms 55. It says, when deserted by friends. And you were talking about how like you felt like you didn't have any friends and like the people had left. And it says, pray this sincerely as David did, and know that God will take away the bitterness left behind when loved ones have forsaken us. Concentrate especially on verses 16 through 18 for helping one forgive quickly. So I feel like there's guidance for that of being able to release whatever that experience is reading the whole Psalms 55 verses 16 through 18. And then it also talks about when worries um like impact us. And so it says verses 16 through 22 assures us that if we give our burdens to the Lord, he will not permit us to be overwhelmed. And it's like the whole thing about like he's not going to give you, more
Right.
than you can handle. And so then the next thing was like when you were talking about your career, because like I said, at first I was like, okay, well, how does that the graphic arts and the children and all like how does that all work together, like those two things? What does that look like for? Is it that you want to be an art teacher for kids? What is all of that? Like what are your career moves? And so you were talking quite a bit about your experience and kind of like all the struggles that you had, this kind of being like the first job. And again, everything is divine. I was called to have a success oracle deck, and what I love about this deck is that it has individuals of like people that are actually doing successful things that can potentially give us a message. And so the question is, have you ever heard of Beyonce before?
Yes, I've heard of Beyonce before.
Okay, so that's who came out while you were talking. So it's like, okay, so you're familiar with Beyonce.
Yes, I'm
So you
familiar.
get this, right? So it literally says where it talks about how to make money. And her verbiage is choreograph career moves only you can follow. So it's like finding clarity of like whatever it is that you're going to do. Cause like I said, initially I was thinking like, okay, how are you going to do graphic arts and going with the kids? Like, what's the career move? And the guidance that came back was like, choreograph whatever works for you. However you want that to be. If you want to be an art teacher or whatever the case may be, flow with that. And it says, how do you then keep a hold of your success? It says your public image is your private property. And then it talks about how to give it meaning. It says brand your benevolence. So like brand yourself. Like when you talk about Beyonce, you know who
Yeah.
she is and the beehive and all of that. So I'm feeling led to actually read because they come with these little books, but to give you a little insight more about Beyonce, of course, she's like number two right here under D's. So it talks about this is what it says. It says former Destiny's Child Beyonce has matured into a mortgage paying adult like the rest of us. So I'm already connected. Like you're growing, like she started out as a kid and then she went to adulthood. And so it's like the same for you. Like you're talking about this is my first job. Like after I'm doing all these different things, I've grown up, I've lived with my dad, I'm experiencing all these different things. So I think she's coming along to help to encourage you in this way. So it's like the rest of us, with a combined household income of over $1 billion, hundreds of millions of them from Beyonce's album and concert sales. Investments include real estate, contemporary art, there use your graphics. There you go. Contemporary art and title streaming service owned by husband Jay Z, which allows the couple more control over exclusive releases. Speaking or singing of control, Beyonce rarely lets go of it in her creative and public output. Maintaining privacy in the spotlight, the artist, which is like you, keeps headlines focused on her artistic collaborations, career choreography, and on brand um, helping initiatives by Bay Good. So encouraging the message is encouraging like having those role models of people that can come alongside you and supporting you. Read that scripture, Psalms 55, definitely 16 through 22. And then be inspired by Beyonce and just what she is experiencing in her life and getting the message. Have you ever heard of her song called Black Parade?
I have not.
Okay. Feeling guidance to you can YouTube it,
Okay.
Spotify, whatever the case may be. But there's a song called Black Parade, and it's not. I think it was like 2019. It has history with that because she actually released that song on June 19th. Juneteenth. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am. I am.
Yeah, yeah. So it's and you know how Beyonce does, she doesn't always have a hoopla for every song. But I think it was like during like right when the pandemic was kind of coming and she
Right.
released it on June 19th. But there are some things in that when she's talking about she's talking about her spirituality in that song. And you know how like Beyonce, she's more likely to put her feelings and emotions in her
Yeah.
story. She keeps herself private, but if you listen to some of her songs, she's sharing some of her things. And so I think you'll be also to be able to connect not only about the career going from, you know, 7-year-old singing in her mom's salon in Houston to this mega mogul, and she made her path for herself. You can do the same thing, but also the transition that she kind of had with her religion aspect because she talks about certain things that people may think she grew up Christian. She still, I think, probably believes in those things. Not speaking for
Right.
her, but she talks about some other things that other people may pass judgment on in that song. So look up the lyrics to that as well, and just being encouraged in that aspect of it. But those are the things and the encouragement that your spiritual team is coming to connect with to be able to encourage you to live smart and ascend to new levels of success.
Awesome. And just to clarify
Yeah,
anything as far as your questions and, oh,
sure.
why is this your first job and how did you be called to help others and all that respect. And I think I mentioned this in the initial interaction with you. Um, though I'm smiling and bubbly and everything, my coming into this world wasn't a typical coming into this world. To be more specific, for the first 2 years of my life, I couldn't hear or talk. So, as a result of that, I had a lot of health issues. I had asthma, I had ADHD. I mean, I still have ADHD. I don't have asthma, but um, with everything, because I didn't ask to be different. This is
Mm,
this is just how I came into this world, and I'm very blessed that hey, I'm talking and speaking, and that wasn't stagnant.
yeah.
But as far as what I mentioned earlier, as far as the acceptance and trying to fit in and helping others who may feel lost and isolated from everyone, I can understand that really from my growing up and how I came into this world. Um, I was put in a specialized classroom with other kids who had disabilities and delays. There was no medical term for what I had. It was the 90s, so I mean, there may be a term for it now. I have no idea, but that was just my experience with that as far as how is she able to talk or not hear and talk.
Hmm.
There was no term for that. So I was put in a classroom with other kids. And you would think if you're put in a specialized classroom with other kids that interacting and getting along would be easier, you would think. But for
Hmm.
me, it wasn't easy for some reason. The kids would play with their blocks and all in a group together. And when my dad would pick me up for therapy, I would be by myself in a corner playing by myself. And that dynamic lasted really up until I got ready to go into high school. Um, and I struggled mentally with that. My mental health was really struggling as a result of that because I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to fit in. And many people get picked on for a variety of things, glasses, you're too black or you're too this.
Mm.
You get made fun of for many things in your adolescence, but for me, I got picked on for typical having four eyes or glasses or whatever, typical things, but I also just took it a lot harder than everybody else because I knew I was biologically different and I couldn't change that. So I was basically being rejected for simply being me. Just give you some more examples while we still have time because I am keeping an eye on that. Um, in a classroom setting, I did end up in a regularized classroom with regular peers because they realized, hey, she is smart. Let's get out of this specialized classroom right away. I would answer a question. I would get it wrong. Everybody would laugh. Someone else would answer a question and get it wrong. Nobody would laugh. And it was just disheartening and saddening, and just like, I didn't ask to be different. This is just who I am. And I tried so hard. I like would say hi or hello or try to sit next to them at lunch. I was nothing. I would be a glass, see through me, invisible, not acknowledge my existence whatsoever. And I mentioned I'm a Christian, so God was basically my only friend growing up.
Mm,
Tell you the truth. And if it wasn't for my faith, it prevented me from probably committing such an act, as far as just ending my life right now. And I apologize if that affects some of your viewers, but that's the truth. Because I thought if I meant to not have any friends, if I meant to just be alone, I mean, I had family, I have my loved ones, they are great. And
mhm.
I mean, my childhood wasn't horrible. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy, but it wasn't horrible. And that fundamental factor as far as socialization that is imperative to have in your adolescence, in your childhood, I didn't have that. And it was saddening. It's like, okay, if I were to disappear, would anybody miss me? Would anybody care? Like, if I'm just gonna not have any friends, then why am I still here? So, that continued on, and I'm trying to speed up the
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Here's the thing that now it's connecting. They're giving more clarity
yeah.
for that message of why you're working at the school. One of the things you want to, they encourage you to do is to heal that past experience that you had growing up. That is why that scripture, give your burden to the Lord and he will take care of you. And that's why it's connected with the desertion of friends. There's still, sounds like in your energy vibe, that there's still, hurt, kind of just the experience that you've gone on. But the thing is, you want to release that, give that to the Lord. So, in the sense of going back, meditating, and reading that Psalms is going to encourage you. The next connection of the word that they are giving is that is why you're at the school. The school is going to help you to rebuild that experience that you didn't necessarily have when you were a kid. That you're going to be there and you're going to impact a child's life at that school that you're at. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember this time with Miss Sanchez and whatever the case may be. You are, in a way, rewriting the history that you experience to recreate that now. That is why you're at that school, to help to release that, to help to look at those kids and making sure that they have a beautiful, loving environment experience, like I said, with the tomatoes or whatever the case may be, to change the experience that you did not have. The second thing is that there may even be okay, I'm just gonna okay, so So I learned the alphabet when I was 9 years old in sign language. It is a language that allows kids to communicate at a very young age. And so I don't know what freedoms that you have. There may be the line of being able to just to take the time to rewrite what that experience was when you were not able to talk when you were a kid, to teaching like maybe the kids the alphabet of ABC for that child that's not able to vocalize their voice, but they can still communicate. And it's a beautiful language. And that was the word of to encourage you to also You got you got a lot of work, Dion. You gotta they're encouraging, they're like getting it in. Read Psalms 16 to 22, release that. Be encouraged with Beyonce. Listen to Black Parade and her career moves and what you want to do and create whatever that is for you. Rewrite the history of just knowing when you go to work, tomorrow, whatever the case may be, and you see those kids and you're, being encouraged with them, that maybe it's something that's something that you can teach them as well. If you see someone that's not able to communicate or whatever the case may be, just learn the alphabet. But that is the intuitive feedback they are giving for you today. Just so you know, because I know we talked about this before, I don't do like a whole bunch of research or anybody on anything
Right.
of the case may be, but I want for those out there to know that Dionne and I did talk in the sense of I asked her was she over the age of 18, because that was one of the things I wanted to make sure, because she was using the word student a lot, and she's
Yeah.
she has a youthful look, and so she is over the age of 18.
Yes,
um
I am.
for sure. So it's like, so I just wanted everybody in the viewing audience to know that for sure. But so mention what the podcast is again.
So my podcast is called Words of Heart. It's about in-depth conversations of inspiration with an emphasis on mental health.
Yeah.
And it's basically a form of comfort and acceptance. I don't put a time limit on you. The world may silence you, but I will not silence you.
Mm.
It's just a real culmination of my gifts and like graphics and helping others and just amplifying other people's stories, and just being there for them, or just living vicariously through my own experience and what I would have liked happened to me when I was younger, for someone to be there for me, to acknowledge me, to not make me feel invisible. So
Love that. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Dion, for sharing that. You guys be sure to also check out her podcast as well, because like she's about having these important conversations as well. All right. Until the next time we come together, have a great day.